Hello, everybody. This is Gary Matheny. It is October 2024, and welcome to Liberty Observatory. I am dedicating a few of these episodes, our segments, not to the specific issue of liberty, but to answer some questions from Storyworth. One of my daughters wants me to go through this, and primarily for the sake of her children, so that they can know who their grandfather is or was. It does seem a little bit ominous that she wants to keep a record of me and I'm still alive, but I am 71 years old. And so today's question for Storyworth is, when is the right time to retire? I think it has a lot of practical application. So even if you don't want to see me address that question, bear it out a little bit and listen. These are not particularly long segments. And so basically the question is, when is the right time to retire? And my basic philosophy on this is when you can write your own ticket out. When you can write your own ticket out, meaning you can leave on your own terms and not somebody else's terms. If you can leave on your own terms, it should be a lot more pleasant experience than leaving on somebody else's terms where they terminate you, they contrive an excuse to fire you. You get laid off under difficult circumstances. Plan to write your own ticket out, because this is a generality. If you don't write your own ticket out, somebody else will. Let's take, for instance, just earlier this year, President Joe Biden was declaring 1 minute that he was a candidate for United States president. He wasn't going to back off. He wasn't going to change his mind. And then after a weekend of talking to his advisors, family members, and fellow politicians, he withdrew his candidacy. So obviously, somebody else wrote his ticket out. They had to convince him that the Democratic Party would struggle with running him as president. And so there's an example. Even the United States president is forced out, not in any violent sense, but in a sense of power. He's forced out as a candidate for president. And so this knows no depths. No matter where you're employed, and no matter your profession. I'm a lawyer, and I've seen a few lawyers basically be told by judges, you're not welcome in my courtroom anymore, because they just kept on lawyering when their skills were diminished, where some of them were actually suffering from dementia or other severe disabilities, and they could not come into a courtroom and function with any degree of competency. So I'm a lawyer. I don't want to wait till a judge tells me I can't come back to his courtroom. So write your own ticket out. Let me also talk about a couple of employment situations. And I've mostly represented injured people, but I've been involved in a few employment cases. And one of the things that really tugs at my heart is when I see like somebody in their 50s or early 60s who work for the same company, were loyal employees, dedicated employees, had a good work ethic. And then all of a sudden, they get a boss that's probably about half their age. So they're late 50s, and so you get a boss in your late 20s or early 30s. So the youth movement, I guess, with that particular employer. And then all of a sudden, after getting like 20, 25 years of good reviews, of doing well with the company and getting your bonuses or whatever, all of a sudden you're not doing well enough. You're no longer up to par. You're not satisfactory as an employee, and it breaks people's heart, the ones that are dedicated workers. In other words, they put a lot of themselves, a lot of pride into being good workers, and then they come along years later and say, hey, you're not getting the job done. We're going to get rid of you. And so often that something is contrived or embellished. A small mistake that everyone makes all of a sudden is a terrible mistake because they're trying to get rid of you. And so try and create a situation where you can write your own ticket out and not allow a circumstance to arise where somebody else writes your ticket for you. I know that's something that not everybody can control. The best thing to do, and I've let a few people go as an employer, the best thing to do is don't lie as an employer. Don't lie. But you can protect yourself legally. Obviously, don't violate any civil rights laws or any other laws on the books when you terminate somebody. Missouri is an at-will employment state, meaning it's a simple contract at the will of the employer, at the will of the employee. They can depart ways, fire, terminate, quit, for any reason or no reason at all. But that statement is shrouded in the civil rights laws and other employment laws. So you don't let anybody go because they're a racial minority or something like that. It's not good business, plus it's not fair, and it's not the way to treat your fellow human beings. So what I've done basically is said, without cause and without misconduct. That way they can collect their unemployment insurance, and I don't have to, kind of like dump on them in their employment file and make them look bad. So easiest thing to do in Missouri is no misconduct, no cause. We're just terminating the relationship. And so basically, another consideration for retirement. When's a good time to retire? When you have what is called drop-dead money. Drop-dead money means that you can afford to say no. In other words, if something is going on in your employment situation where they're asking you to do something that you just cannot do, either physically, mentally, emotionally, or dishonest request, you want to be able to be in a situation that you are financially well enough to leave so that you can tell your employer to drop dead. That's drop dead money, where you can not do what they are asking you to do and you can leave because you have the resources to do that. And I also understand not everybody has that position in life where they can have drop dead money, and then when somebody asks you to do something you don't want to do, you can just say, I ain't doing it, I'm leaving. Another consideration is the ability to write a check, and this is a big one for me. I'm older now. I don't want to be crawling around underneath cars. I don't want to be changing water heaters on my own. I don't want to do a lot of things that need to be done in home maintenance that I would have done, 30 years ago without thinking much about it. At this point, I want to be able to write a check so that you can get the people in here to do what they need to do for home maintenance, for car maintenance, for landscaping, whatever it is, you want to have the ability to write a check. And I also understand that not everybody is in that position where they're an older person and they have the ability to write a check. Further consideration: when your health is good enough to enjoy retirement, this is an important consideration because a lot of people that love their job, they eventually retire, but by the time they retire, their health is so wrecked that they don't really enjoy retirement because they've invested all their energy towards a profession or a job that they really enjoyed. So, that flips both ways. If you really love what you're doing, why quit doing it? But you need to leave room to enjoy yourself in life. If you wait too long, your health becomes paramount, and that hinders your ability to enjoy retirement. So leave some room in there to enjoy your good health and enjoy your retirement, and don't think the whole world revolves around you. That's what a lot of people think. They think, I'm a great lawyer, and if I retire, how is law going to survive without me? I remember that in grade school when I got sick. I had a hard time fathoming that school actually went on. Hey, I'm not there. You should cancel school. I'm that important. Well, a lot of people in the professions or employers feel like, or even employees feel like they're so god-awful important to the company that they can't quit. Believe me, they can survive without you. And perhaps the last reason, and the most important reason to me, is to know when it's time to move on. Know when it's time to move on. Pay attention to that inward clock, that part that is within you that says, it's time for me to move on. And so that may be the most important reason to retire or move on. And a lot of times, circumstances can be thrust upon you where, it's time for me to move on for whatever reason. Or that inward clock, things may be going well in the employment sector. You may still be productive, still be happy, still earning money, and yet inside of you, you have that call, you have that yearning, you have that desire to move on. And you don't even necessarily know what that is, but you understand that in order to open another door in life, sometimes you have to close the existing door. And that gets very spiritual, the role of faith, and other considerations that we won't get in here today. So, when is a good time to retire? To summarize very briefly, when you can write your ticket out, when you have drop-dead money, when you have the ability to write a check, and when your health is good, or that inward clock that's within you is telling you to move on. And it's probably a multitude of considerations, not just one out of this list. It can be a blending together and be complicating in the sense that I may not fully understand why you want to retire. It's important that you fully understand why you want to retire. Thank you very much. Have a good day.